flex. Buckle up and join the best. Let Citi relieve your stress. So yes, let the music soothe your soul and keep it going just to refresh. Buckle and enjoy the ride from 2 to the half of the 5. Mondays to Fridays happening live. Where we gon' have a ball, you can text your guys. Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. Are you ready for the traffic avenue? Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. An applause for the traffic avenue.
Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue. Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, traffic.
Detailed news, unparalleled coverage. City News on 97.3 FM.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
City News.
It's 17:30 GMT. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. I am Umaru, Sanda, Amadu. Tonight, I'm here with
Safo.
And coming up over the next 90 minutes, Galamseyers appear to have won a mini but significant victory as they drive out workers of the Golden Star Resources Company and set the property there ablaze. That happened in Wassa in the Western region. We'll be going live to give you details. Also coming up, the IMF program that has become more evasive and difficult to access than many. The minority in parliament says the government may not clench the deal as early as it is hoping to. And later on Eyewitness News, Ghanaian international Christian Achu laid to rest after having died in that earthquake in Turkey last month. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more of this and many other stories on Eyewitness News. We also have business coming up later, and the latest headline.
Vice President Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia challenges state-owned enterprises to review their mandates to contribute their quota towards national development programs.
That's in 50 minutes. Eyewitness News is across Ghana on a number of affiliate stations on Tunsung 97.3 FM in Wa, on Jirapa FM 96.1 in Jirapa, on Quality 88.7 FM in Garu, on Radio Bimbila on 91.9 FM in Bimbila, on Radio VOV in Hohwe on 95.7, on Radio Revival or Revival FM 99.3 FM in Tajevu, on Orange 107.9 FM in Kumasi, Focus 94.3 FM on KNUST campus in Kumasi, on Greener 95.9 FM in Sunyani, on Beach 105.5 FM in Takrady, Sky Power 93.5 FM in Takrady, and Ajunpa 100.7 FM in Takwa. We are live across Ghana. We are live across the world on citynewsroom.com. We are also on Facebook and we are on Twitter. Do let us know what you make of the stories we are bringing on WhatsApp 0549 986 996 0549 986 996. Eyewitness News is broadcasting from number 11, Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka in Accra. The fight against Galamsey has been victorious in part and has been a failure in another part. Today we are hearing of news that Galamseyers invaded a legitimate mining company, drove away the workers and burnt the properties there. Gerald Boachi is Group Corporate Affairs Manager for Golden Star Wassa. You're welcome to Eyewitness News, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
First of all, your company has various operation sites, so we are dealing just specifically to what happened in Wassa, right?
Yes, with particular reference to the Wassa operation.
Okay.
So not Wassa, the Bensu operation.
Bensu, the name of the area is Bensu.
Yeah, Bensu is where we're at.
What happened?
Well, I mean, we usually do our patrols, to protect our concessions and which is actually required of us by law, to be responsible for our boundaries, to prevent incursions, and also to make sure that people are safe, community members, i.e. farmers and hunters that work in the bush are safe, are not impeded by our operation, because we do blasting and all that. So this is the premise for which we have patrols along our boundaries. And on such patrols, we encounter different things, sightings. Most quite often incursions by illegal miners. So on one such occasion, which was yesterday, we encountered some illegal miners, which we, our modus operandi is to engage people that encroach or make incursions into our boundaries, engage them, and get them to understand and move away, either because they are illegal or because they are at risk or they're basically not allowed there. So this is the modus operandi. So we engaged these illegal miners to move, and they moved away. But obviously, they were interested in that area because obviously they had some interest in the or something like that there. So they came back. And when they came back, we tried to ward them off with the help of the police. And they dispersed again. And apparently, unconfirmed reports reaching us that they may have injured in the course of being dispersed. And that probably infuriated them. And they came back at night and ran our security post down, touched our vehicles, destroyed our offices, basically bent things down. So we called in the police, or the police called in for reinforcement from Takwa, and they've been there since last night. Calm has been restored, and they are investigating what went wrong, and some of our security men were injured. They've been treated and discharged. That's the story.
Okay, so did they come at night, during the day?
During the day, it started during the day.
So you had other workers around there at the time then?
Oh yeah. We worked 24 hours, so there had been a change of shift. Yeah, we had workers there. Yeah.
Okay, now have you had previous dealings with them in the past?
We work in a club. We work there, so I wouldn't say previous dealings. I would say we engage them. We have a relationship with them. We employ from the community. So, but not with illegal miners. Illegal miners, we don't deal with them.
Now, these people who invaded your premises are illegal miners, not youth.
Yes.
Not youth of the town.
I will call them youth. The youth, they have a chief. They are not happy with that. They'll go to their chief.
How long have you been operating in that area?
Well, we were operating there, and we reopened the mine last year.
So, but this is the first time you are having such an invasion on your property.
Yes, sure, yeah.
So specifically, they want you to get out of their business, or there is some demand?
Not like they can want us. We are legal. There's not some demand. They were not happy that we drove them off. They came back and wanted to come back. We stopped them. They think, like they're saying.
Is it the case that
police report?
So is it the case that the two of you, and you being one group and they being another group, are fighting over the same concession?
We can be fighting over the same concession. It's our concession. We're legal.
I mean, I know. I'm not talking about the ownership.
That comes on our compression. It's not. Yeah. But if you're not talking about ownership, we're talking about encroachment.
So they want to take your concession from you.
They don't want to. Illegal fighters go into wherever they go.
I know. I'm just trying to. I mean, I'm not justifying what they're doing. I'm just saying that. So what they have done is to try to take your concession from you, and you said no.
Not necessarily, no. I don't think so. They have put you there and they want it. If they come and mine there, they obviously have tag-ups. They've done some work, so they would want to come for it.
So they're coming for property that belongs to them.
It doesn't belong to them. When we see people on our sites, we need to drive them off. Whatever is there is ours.
And it is the reason for driving them out that they regrouped and returned.
Yes. What they were coming for, we're yet to find out. The police is doing an investigation. But when we see, the law says that you are responsible to protect your operation. And when anybody gets onto your operation and something happens to him, you're responsible. So we ward them off.
Do you have like a fence, or you just have
Yes,
people who?
yes, it's fair. It's fair.
Do you have enough men to ward them off? Because it appears they have won this time around.
So we have an operation there. So from based on our operation, we have.
But
But
is
it
it
takes a lot more. But we are not armed. If they are armed, we don't know. But if they are armed, obviously we are not armed, so we are at risk.
so your men who protect the place for you are not armed men? Do you not have
No. We are not. The law does not allow us to be armed, and we are not armed.
So you have private security and armed?
Yes.
Doesn't the government provide you legitimate businesses with military
No, we don't
support
know.
and so
Well,
on?
some time ago, there used to be military support. They are no longer there. They're not there.
All right, but how bad is the situation in your area, though? Aside the concession that you operate on, do they operate?
I wouldn't know how the bad of the situation is in other areas, but I know that when we have to protect our site, and when they come there, we stop them.
Any incursion they make, you stop them as much as you can.
This is not the first time. We always engage them and drive them off exactly as much as we can. That's the thing. So as much as we can, as long as we can, we do that. When we think that we need to report to the police, when there are serious atrocities, we have to report to the police. The police come in and do the investigation, like yesterday.
Now you have the police around providing you with protection. It's just a matter of time before they pack and leave. Would you be able to sustain the business and protect the area after the police leave?
Well, we have to see, and based on our police reports, we can find out what's up.
Let's talk about the destruction to your property. What was destroyed?
Oh, as many as 12 vehicles, including an ambulance, some excavators, excavator cabins, buildings, offices, computers, air conditioning, our security post. Yeah, you saw in the video.
I saw the video. They touched all these vehicles. It means that
everything. Yeah.
So they occupy. I heard in the video someone asking their colleagues to run, which means they fled. Your workers fled. Your security fled.
That's our first and foremost safety guidance we give our employees. You always have to save life. Property can be rebuilt. So yes.
What is going to happen to your property that you lost now? Because these people who engage in this act have fled, or have they been arrested?
Sorry, come again.
Have they been arrested or they fled?
We don't know. We're yet to have a security briefing from the police is still on the ground.
All right, but they have all moved out. So apologies, we've lost George Boachi, but let's end it there. That's Gerard Boachi. He's Group Corporate Affairs Manager for Golden Star Wasa. And the story is that the illegal miners in the area have invaded their concession and damaged or destroyed their property, burnt down vehicles, and the video that I'm looking at as uploaded on my online.com is showing people fleeing. It's showing people fleeing from the site, which looks like a fenced area. I can see smoke in the background. I don't know what exactly happened, but these people who are the invaders of the property appear to have taken over as workers flee from the scene. They're holding weapons, machetes. Yeah, they're holding machetes, and these workers are fleeing from the place for dear life, and these marauding invaders appear to be. So if you listen to the commentary in the background there. Well, so you're hearing the sound of destruction, the sound of vandalism, and they're holding machetes. These young men who have penetrated the walls, and there's a vehicle that has been set ablaze. It is attempting to move. I don't know. There's a driver in there, but yeah, that is on flames now. There's another vehicle. I'm seeing 3 vehicles in the video now. In flames while they open the gate. So that's the distraction that happened at the Wasa, the Golden Star Wasa mine in the western region, which was set on fire by Galamseyers after they after they took over the place and drove workers out. We are told the police have since moved in and taken over uh, the area while investigations continue. We've tried to reach the district chief executive for Wasa East, Umaru, to understand what his position or what the assembly is doing about this, and generally the fight against Galamsey. He's not been responsive to our request for an interview. We tried the regional minister, the Honorable Kobiachu Dakubensa, to understand as a man who is in charge of security in the region what he makes of what has happened. He too has not been responding to our request for an interview. When we do get them, we would check what they have done so far. We've tried the police administration as well. We've not been successful for any comment from the Western Regional Command. We were referred to the National Head Office for a comment, which we are yet to get. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Let me bring some of the messages you've been sending through now on our various WhatsApp platforms. And Henrico in Kofrido says, the fact that nothing seems to be working perfectly under the Nana Baumia-led NPP government, no wonder Galamsey has become one of the social interventions. When the wicked rules, the people suffer. That's a quote that he has used to put under his comment. Amisco Spelele in Kaswa Republic says, undoubtedly, the law must deal with these Galamseyers who destroyed the properties of the legitimate mining company at Benso. Suleimana says, this Galamsey issue is very alarming. Do send me your message to 0549 986 996, 0549 986 996. You can also alternatively go on Twitter and drop your message there. You can also send us your messages on our Facebook feed, all right, on our YouTube page where we are currently broadcasting live from. This is Eyewitness News. My name is Umaru, Sanda, Amadu here with Safo. We return with more. Please stay with us.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Keys. What could be simpler than a key? Who doesn't have a key? A car key, an office key, a drawer key. But there's one key that rules them all. The house key. The key to a place we call home. The key to the home where everything comes together. The key to a home that is our own. A home where we make life happen with our families and loved ones. Adoha has been working hard for over 30 years to make home ownership within reach for many. Say yes to property with Adoha. Your dream home is one call away. Your dream home is a few clicks away. Visit our Accra project, The Place, by calling 030-2789-757.
Ajwapa, what's all this condom business? Oh, I've told her over and over again that she won't get pregnant, and she's still insisting. Oh, isn't she the same person who said we would not have sex till we go out for at least 2 years? For all this time? Oh, and she still can't trust me enough? Ama, when I try to do something small, no, condom this, condom that. So handsome man like me, she probably thinks I have HIV.
Using a condom will protect you and your partner. Condoms are effective for protection against a wide spectrum of STIs and HIV infection. Don't take risks. Use a condom every time. Always come prepared.
This advert is brought to you by the Ghana AIDS Commission.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You're welcome back to Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We are coming to you from our studios in Adabraka, in Accra. Last month, we reported for you that disaster, the earthquake that claimed over 40,000 lives in Turkey, also claimed the life of our international footballer, Christian Achu, who was caught up in or trapped in the rubble for many days before he was eventually found and brought home. And the burial service happened today. The state played a role in that, and he has since been interred. Tributes were read at the funeral service today, or the burial service today, one of the tributes came through from the Minister for Youth and Sports, Yusuf Mustafa. Let's listen to what he said.
As human beings, creatures of the Almighty God, departing from each other in response to the Creator's call is natural. But the departure of a patriot, full of wisdom, humility, kindness, and really is very, very painful. But as we always say, when there's such a painful departure occurs, we cannot question God. He knows best. The painful loss of our brother, Christian Achu, has undoubtedly created indelible impact on the minds and the hearts of compatriots, teammates, friends, families, and the nation. The government and Ghanaians in general will continue to remember Christian Achu as one of the committed, dedicated, and result-oriented youth and a football star of our time. Achu demonstrated the capacity to fully achieve his potential in his profession. His interest for developing and utilizing his talent for the Ghanaian people and beyond will forever remain a reference point. Throughout his career, Achu interacted with well-meaning Ghanaians and international partners at both personal and professional level. His first close interaction with the Ministry of Youth and Sports was his first call out to the Blasters in 2012. His stellar performance with the Blaster right from his debut match against Lesotho on the 1st June 2012 at the Baba Yara Sports Stadium in Kumasi endeared him to many Ghanaians. As a new Blaster was born that day, no doubt. As one of the youngest players of the team, with much expectation from Ghanaians, the talent and skill known to many. When he scored 5 goals, 7 goals crashing of Lesotho. Indeed, the BBC described him as an excellent prospect, quick and technically impressive player with high potential in the national team. Achu continued to serve Ghana through the Blaster in many assignments, including the African Cup of Nations in South Africa in 2013, Equatorial Guinea in 2015, Gabon in 2017, and in Egypt in 2019. He also represented Ghana at the 2014 FIFA World Cup in Brazil. His most memorable performance with the Blaster was in 2015 AFCON, Equatorial Guinea, where he won the Player of the Tournament after his excellent performance helped the Blaster to reach the grand finale. For the ministry interaction with the Blaster, Achu always displayed calmness, an attribute his mates has attested to. His acclaimed humane nature, friendliness, love for people, commitment to Mother Ghana, and the team spirit were exceptional and deserve emulation. Even at the peak of his career, Achu remained himself and was never overtaken by pride, arrogance, and indiscipline. On occasion of mourning our son, brother, and colleague, we believe that Christian Achu has graciously paid tribute to Mother Ghana, and memories of his commitment and contribution to our national team, the Blasters, will forever remain in the minds of those present. His legacy remains as inspiration for the Blasters, the football fraternity, and in general, the youth of our country, Ghana. We pray that our brother, our son, our Blaster, find the best place with the Lord. May his soul continue to rest in perfect peace.
So that's the MP for Yaba Kubori, Minister for Youth and Sport, Yusuf Mustafa, delivering the government's tribute at the funeral service or the burial service of Christian Achu, the Ghanaian footballer who perished in that earthquake in Turkey. Citi News and Citi Sports' Yao J. Minta was at the funeral and he's back in studio now. Yao, you're welcome back.
Thank you very much.
How was the ceremony today? You were there witnessing it firsthand.
Yes, it was quite hectic at some moments. Looking at the protocol that had to be applied, looking at the presence, the high-profile personalities that were present at the event, and it got to a point. It got solemn. Not too surprising, looking at the kind of events that we witnessed or we covered, and so yeah, it varied at some point in time. At various point in time, you had some highs, you had some lows because of the arrival of a key personality. So when the sports minister arrived, there was a little bit of hectic movement up and down, the security running all over the place, trying to get people in check, especially the media, to be positioned at the right quarters. There were moments where things were quiet, lots of reflections, especially when the tributes started pouring in at certain point in time, especially looking at the tribute from Christian Achu's, the late Christian Achu's wife. She broke down a couple of times reading the tribute, and she couldn't even complete her tribute, reading her tribute, and so she had to get assistance from Christian Achu's twin sister. And at that point in time, yeah, that's when you had people, become very quiet and reflect on the words being spoken by people who read the tribute. And
I think we should listen to that tribute, the one by the wife, which was not completed, and she broke down, and she was there with one of the children.
yeah, she was there with all of the children. All three children of the late Christian Achu were present at the event.
So she was reading the tribute, broke down. Let's listen to that part.
Lying before me today is the mortal remain of a beloved father and husband. I knew later that morning that God is going to call you home. In life, I love you, darling. In death, I do the same. It breaks my heart to lose you. You did not go alone. A part of me went with you. Your love is still my guide. And though I cannot see you, you are always on my side. You were always so full of life. You seem to be important. You seem to be immortal, sorry. Your smile, your love, I see in our children's smile. You are never really gone, as part of you is within them. You are love beyond words and myth beyond measure. But as you always say, God win. In love, your wife.
So that's we told that that's a twin sister, not sure, but a relative, or somebody who read
on behalf of the wife.
So the wife could not read the
yeah,
tribute.
she broke down twice, trying to read the tribute. And I think the touching moment when it really hit people was the time where people were filing past the body of the late Christian Achu. And so John Paintel, once he filed past the body, he got back to his seat and he shed tears. Sule Muntari,
he looked so restless.
He looked very
so
restless.
Worried. And even at the 1 week.
At the 1 week observation, he broke down in tears. This time around, I didn't see any tears flowing down his cheeks, but you could tell that he was grieving inside. And Mubarak Wakasu, Christian Achu's very close friend in the Black Stars, he was at the venue, at the event, and people didn't even recognize him because he looked physically out of shape.
He was distraught.
He was distraught, and he looked to have lost weight. Yeah, and Mubarak Wakasu is quite thick, if I can put it that way. Okay. He has a quite thick stature. And the Mubarak Wakasu I saw earlier today, like I said, he looked leaned out and pretty much irrecognizable. So people didn't even notice that it was him. At the time, the GFA president, Keto Kweku, went over to lay the wreath. Mubarak Wakasu was with him. But people didn't even notice that it was Mubarak Wakasu.
So
because
he did that. He also laid the wreath on behalf of the Black Stars?
No, it was the GFA president.
GFA laid the wreath?
Yeah, who did it on behalf of pretty much the football stakeholders.
Okay, I see. Who else was there?
His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo was there. The Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, was there. Sports Minister Mustafa Yusuf was there. His deputy, Elvis Bobie, was there. GFA President, Keto Kweku was there. GFA Head of Communication, Henry Asante Chum was there. You had former GFA Vice President, George Free, and his predecessor, pretty much. That's Fred Papo was also there.
Did I see John Mahama in the photos?
Yes, ex-president John Mahama was there, and the footballers, the ex-teammates of Christian Achu, they were also present. You had John Mensah, you had Suleiman Tari, you had Haminu Dramani, you had John Paintel, you had Isaac Vossa, Emmanuel Adebayo, Togo International. He was also at the funeral, and so you had quite a lot of high-profile personalities present at the funeral. Yes, Greater Accra Regional Minister Henry Kote was there. Former Sports Minister Edwin Lante van der Poel was also there.
Now, the crowd that I saw on the TV when we were doing the live broadcast was a huge crowd. Yeah. Was that surprising, or Christian is really the one that has a huge following in the Blasters? Does he have that much?
I wouldn't say he has during his lifetime he had a huge following. Because he was quite reserved, though he was a jokester in private settings. But the point is, looking at how his death came about, it took on a national conversation because it happened in a foreign land, and the circumstances had a global audience because of the magnitude of the earthquake. So it caught a lot of attention, and the weight to know his whereabouts after the earthquake struck the eastern part of Turkey. So it drew a lot of attention, and for him not to have made it out alive, it just made it a situation where a lot of people had followed it up until that time, and so it was no surprise that you had a lot of people at the funeral ground. And on top of that, his philanthropic work, it really came to...
Tell me about that, because I see people talk about that a lot.
Yes.
I've seen photos of him with school children. In fact, that's what the BBC shared on Instagram during the funeral.
Yes. And so he was a key ambassador for Arms Around the Child. And Arms Around the Child is an organization that deals with children who are underprivileged. And Christian Achu served as the key ambassador for the organization, and was heavily involved in the construction of a school at Senyabreku in the central region to take care of these underprivileged children. And so aside that, he was consistently giving back to individuals, giving back to community football teams, community football players. And he constantly gave to people. And most prominently, he was heavily involved in people who had been in prison and had difficulty paying their way in terms of the bail money and all that. So, yeah, that philanthropic work also added to the reason why a lot of people moved over to the funeral ground to pay their last respect to.
So he was not only on the pitch; he was also known off the pitch because of the work he's been doing.
And it came to light after he passed, because, like I said, he's quite private, and so most of the things that he did it on the low, on the quiet. And so once he passed, that's when people started opening up that he helped me do this, he helped me do that, he helped me do this. Aside what he did with Arms Around the Child.
So it was taken. The body has been taken to Adawia too.
Yes.
That's where it will be interred.
Yes, that's where it will be interred.
Very well. Thank you.
On Sunday, the Thanksgiving service will happen at the Lighthouse Chapel in Ayawaso.
Ayawaso. Okay, that's Accra.
Yes.
Thank you so much. That's Yao Eje Minta of the sports desk here at Citi FM and Citi TV. So the sad story is the death of Christine Achu, who has been laid to rest today. May he rest well. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We'll return with more. Please stay with us.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
There's something special happening at Heritage Christian College. Their bustling campus is right in the heart of Amasaman, just behind the Olympic Stadium. And it will amaze you what they are doing there. Heritage Christian College is churning out academic excellence with their comprehensive range of degrees, including Bachelor of Business Administration programs, IT, and theology. Don't forget to ask about their professional programs and short courses. What makes Heritage special? Heritage Christian College takes the academic experience further than ever with one laptop per student, flexible fee payment, entrepreneurial training with financial support, all delivered by a caring faculty working to develop your character and your intellect. Admissions are in progress, so call today on 054 7777 731 and get accepted. For more information, go to hcuc.edu.gh. Heritage Christian College, a university educating compassionate entrepreneurial leaders.
Oh, Jack, where are you in a hurry to?
Child, I'm going to Imperial to do my car insurance.
What's happening there? Because Info and Yaba also told me they're going there this morning for their car insurance.
Master, you haven't heard. Now, the Imperial is the name in insurance in Ghana here.
Really?
Sure. Imperial General is saying, come insure your vehicle with them at any of their branches or agents or even online from now till the end of March 2023 and get yourself handsome rewards, fuel coupons, special souvenirs, gift vouchers, and many more. And here's the catch. During this reward period, you will also get a free 1-year life insurance cover in addition to your motor insurance cover.
What the wow! So does it include with the taxi drivers and the e-taxis?
Hey, everybody qualifies, so just come insure your car and you are done. Call 0302 788 955 for further details. T's and C's apply. Imperial General Assurance. Solid protection.
For Pepsodent, smiles are one of the most important things we have. The problem is, globally, 1 in 2 children suffer from cavities. Pepsodent, with maximum cavity protection, helps to prevent the formation of cavities. Pepsodent, because every smile matters. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You're welcome back. Let's do some more stories. Students of Tamale Technical University once again boycotted lectures today over the increment in school fees. The university has increased the fees by 15% this academic year. The students say they are not against the 15% increment, but the timing. They lament that the economic situation is not conducive for an upward adjustment. Here are some of the students speaking to Citi News.
If looking at the timing that they are increasing the school fees is something that we cannot pay. As I speak to you now, I have not even paid 1 cedi of my school fees. And I'm thinking of how and where to get this particular money to pay my school fees, and this is coming to add to me, and I don't know those that I'm appealing for them to pay my school fees for me. Now, if I've already asked somebody, plead with somebody to pay my school fees for me, and the person is struggling hard to get the money for me to pay my school fees during this particular middle of the semester, and later on, I went back to the president and told him, please, senior bro, this is what has happened, and they have increased the school fees of this amount of money. I don't think the person who is going to take care of me will be able to struggle again to get that particular amount of money to add to me to be able to pay my school fee.
Times are hard at this moment. So once we have already struggled to pay the fees that we were told or approved that we will be paying, at least we are not saying they shouldn't increase at all, but they can make it in the next academic year, so that once we have already started paying and some have completed paying, we go through that. By next year, we will be aware that once we are getting into the next academic year, this is the percentage that will be increased. So if they could see wisdom in that, so that and postpone this increment for now, it will be easier for us to conduct our studies on campus here without any disturbance.
You heard some students of Tamale Technical University in the northern region. The Asantehene Otumfuo Osei Tutu II is calling on government to bring together best brains with the requisite expertise from various political parties to present an excellent proposal to help Ghana secure a bailout that would be beneficial to all. Speaking at the 56th congregation at KNUST, the Asantehene also urged the government to be transparent with Ghanaians as the country works towards dealing with the current economic challenges.
Government should be more accommodating and reach out to those who may even be opposed to them politically. The interest of the country is paramount, and we must all work together to prevent the collapse of the economy. No one can pretend to see the difficult times we find ourselves in, but at the same time, I want to encourage all of us to keep hope alive. So, as we move to negotiate with our external creditors, I urge government to bring together the best brains with the requisite expertise from all political perspectives to present the finest proposal so that whatever decision the country chooses will be everyone's responsibility.
The Asantehene also asked government to be transparent with Ghanaians in these difficult economic times. He further called on Ghanaians to ensure judicious use of resources in order not to overburden the economy.
In order to produce outcomes that will be in the best interest of everyone and promote peace and development, I want to implore government to demonstrate a high level of transparency and be candid in these difficult times, in order to win the trust and confidence of the general public. The current economic difficulties should also serve as a wake-up call for all of us to carefully review our economy and implement some significant adjustments. The moment has come for us to reduce wasteful spending and direct resources towards economically productive areas in order to improve the quality of life of our people.
You heard the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei Tutu II. Away from that, the minority in Parliament says Ghana will not be able to secure an International Monetary Fund board approval by the end of March 2023. The group says the government has not been able to satisfy the financing assurances regarding the bailout, which includes the board document. The minority leader, Dr. Kaisala Toforson, made this known during a debate on the State of the Nation address.
Mr. Speaker, the entire macroeconomic indicators have deteriorated. The entire macroeconomic indicators have deteriorated. Mr. Speaker, our president said it is his hope that Ghana will get, in fact, he did not even say it is his hope. He said on authority that Ghana will be getting the IMF board approval by end of this month. Mr. Speaker, I don't know who is briefing His Excellency the President. Someone somewhere is doing a terrible job. Ghana will not be able to get an IMF board approval by the end of this month. Because, Mr. Speaker, even the board documents are not prepared. There are things we need to meet, and this is what we call financing assurances. We need to get China to give Ghana financing assurance. One, that they are ready to accept a haircut. China has not agreed. And the kind of haircut China is expected to take is better than that of Honorable Okujeto President. Mr. Speaker, aside that, we are also expected as a country. We are expected as a country to get financing assurance from Paris clubs, including Germany. Now, Germans are telling us that go and cut the size of your government, reduce government expenditure before they accept restructuring. Yet, you don't care. And yet, you are saying that you will go on Ethiopia. Mr. Speaker, that is why we are saying that we will not approve new ministers. It is nationalistic. It is not in the interest of one person. We do not hate anyone here. Mr. Speaker, we are colleagues. But the truth is, we are doing this for the people of Ghana. And it must be done for the country, because if the president is not ready to act, someone must act for him. And we will act for them. Because, Mr. Speaker, until that is done, Germany, who is a major partner of Paris clubs, may not give us the financing assurance for the purposes of before IMF will go to the board. Mr. Speaker, that is a major concern. We also need to engage the Eurobond holders to get financing assurances from them. Financing assurances from the Eurobond holders. Mr. Speaker, as we speak, we have only informed the Eurobond holders that Ghana is going to restructure our debt and that we are not in a position to repay our debt. So as we speak, we have defaulted in the repayment of our debt. Ghana is not able to pay. Mr. Speaker, this is Wednesday, this is because we don't have the money to pay.
Dr. Kaisala Tuforsen is minority leader. The majority leader, Osei Che Mensah-Bonsu, however, accused Parliament of being negligent in its oversight responsibility, which has contributed to the current economic crisis.
What we had, the per capita index of this country when we inherited was around $1,650. Today, under Akufo-Addo, is $2,500. And you have the boldness to say that this really is bad governance. Mr. Speaker, may God forgive the trespassers. Mr. Speaker, we may spend hours, days, weeks, and months each engaged in self-righteous and self-serving finger-pointing. The truth shall stand. And the truth is that all of us have been negligent in our oversight responsibilities. Every government will strive to leave an indelible mark as far as development is concerned, because that is what the electorate shall remember the government for. However, we should equally be concerned about the means to that end. Every government has been borrowing to add to the stock of debt. Parliament should be the body to ensure that we spend within our means. Parliament does not have a committee on the economy to do this analysis for us. The NDPC, which exists to create a long-term development plan, is not properly situated. Until we put the proper mechanisms in place, what is happening today may repeat itself. Mr. Speaker, we need fiscal discipline. The otherwise central role of the NDPC, which remains unfulfilled, is one of the reasons why many are calling for a holistic review of the Constitution. The desktop of the NDC, calculated year on year in dollar terms, was about $47 billion. Year on year, what the MPP has added is in the region of $32 billion. And I was really concerned about the voodoo financials that the minority leader was engaged in. Mr. Speaker, in city terms, the desktop appears insurmountable, but we must work our way out together. And that's why we have to go back to the IMF. Parliament is required to partner government to hasten the negotiations with the IMF after achieving the staff level agreement in December 2022 by passing the remaining financial bills of Income Tax Amendment Bill, Excise Duty Amendment Bill, Excise Stamp Amendment Bill, and the Growth and Sustainability Levy Bill. Mr. Speaker, the passage of these bills would sanctify the country before the IMF and at the same time wrap up our domestic revenue mobilization efforts. As for the domestic debt exchange program, Mr. Speaker, much discourse has been generated already, and I will not overflog the issue, except to reiterate the fact that it is a call to help to all patriots. Let us hold together to rescue the nation. It's a clarion call on patriots to voluntarily assist in the revitalization of the economy. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, let me say that no country engages the IMF if the country is not afflicted by economic challenges. Have we been reckless in borrowing and expenditure? The records do not lead to that conclusion. Could we have done better? Upon hindsight, it may appear that we over-exaggerated our strength in a few areas. Notwithstanding, there is empirical evidence to show that this government has not underperformed. In sharp contrast with its immediate predecessor administration, the government has done enormously well, notwithstanding the current hiccups. It is important to state the following facts. Mr. Speaker, the rate of economic growth has more than doubled from the 2.8% growth that President Mahama bequeathed to his successor administration. Mr. Speaker, in spite of the COVID-19 and Russia-Ukraine conflict, the country remains self-sufficient in staples. of cassava and plantain. We no longer import them from Cote d'Ivoire. We have not imported maize for human consumption over the past 3 years. The Speaker, rather neighboring countries have been buying these items, especially maize, yam, and rice, from Ghana. We have cleaned up the banking sector and saved depositors from the mismanagement of some deposit-taking houses, which really should not have been given license to operate in the first place.
Osei Chairman Sabunsu is Majority Leader.
Let's go to the House of Parliament and speak to Member of Parliament for Bolga Central, who is also Deputy Ranking on the Finance Committee of Parliament, whose boss has since been promoted, so maybe he may become the new ranking member of the minority side. Honorable Isaac Adongo, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Yeah, good evening and good evening to your listeners.
Are the timelines that bad for the government?
Well, we're actually raising against time if our objective is to secure a deal at the next board meeting, which is likely to be somewhere in the first week of April. The reason is that we had a number of prior actions that we needed to take the last engagement. Some of them are within the reach of government itself through Parliament, which are a few financial bills that are outstanding. But the bigger one is the fact that we have not made any significant progress on the front of achieving debt sustainability. Even though we did the DDEP, that covered only 83 billion Ghana cedis. And if you look at our entire debt portfolio of around 600 billion, that really shows that is a drop in the ocean. And so there has to be some significant and aggressive cuts and achievements on the external debt front. And that is where we are having challenges, particularly with our bilateral creditors and some of our private creditors. You do know that the debt treatment that we are seeing from the common framework requires our friendly nations and the bilateral countries to come together and form a committee. It's been difficult to get China to come to the table. And China is our biggest bilateral lender. So until we're able to address that, but the complexity of the China situation is that there's some bit of geopolitics involved, where China does not see the Paris Club as anything other than a Western influence and would always want to have its own arrangement with individual countries. Unfortunately for us, we have arrived at China at a time where there are a number of African countries that are already queuing up before we came. Niger is already there, Ethiopia is there, Zambia is there. So it will be difficult for Ghana to jump that queue because whatever China agrees with Ghana, it has to be fair to the other countries that we came to meet. And yet the framework is suffering because China would want to do it on its own terms. And China traditionally does not believe that a sovereign country can be poor. They do believe that a sovereign country can be broke like we are broke, but we are not poor because we have assets and other means of which they can collect their money. And so China is not exactly a believer in forgiving debt, but believes in a restructuring that leads to the repayment of debt through other means. Don't forget that in the past we have taken China to a number of bauxite sites. We've taken them to Hinahini and Neko when we're talking about the Sina hydro. So they do know that we have quite a considerable deposit of Sina hydro. Don't forget that when they gave us 1 billion to put together the Atwabo gas pipeline, the Atwabo gas plant, they are aware that we are significantly endowed with hydrocarbons. And so they would probably want to get some oil blocks and some gas resources to be free. So that is going to be a very difficult conversation, given that the geopolitics of the West and China would begin to play at this engagement.
When China failed to show up at the meeting that we wanted them to be at the Paris Club meeting, we were told it was because the Communist Party was waiting to finish with its convention. That has since happened. Xi Jinping has clinched another term of office. Things are pretty cool now. They can then listen to us and deal with the issue and move on. Don't you think? Maybe there's still some hope that...
Don't forget that this is a diplomatic conversation, and China traditionally does not believe that it has to work with other countries to address its own internal issues. And China does not believe in the Paris Club. I cannot remember any period in time where China joined the rest of the bilateral Western countries to address debt treatment. So clearly, the conversation around China is quite clear that they would not be joining the Paris Club. And the earlier we understand that, the better. In fact, China is not comfortable that all this is instigated by the IMF and the World Bank, and yet the IMF and the World Bank are not prepared to restructure their own debt. Okay, and it is on the basis of this IMF and the World Bank you're asking China to restructure its debt. That is a bitter pill for them. They do not see fairness in that process. And so you would find China as a very difficult partner to negotiate. And China ordinarily will move you to the point of despair so you can agree to whatever terms they're offering you. The worst case scenario, if we still went to the board in April, would be to have an agreement in principle that says, we will give you a deal, but you still have to go and meet A, B, C, D conditions as prior actions before we can actualize the implementation of the agreement. So they may give us an agreement and say, go and address the debt sustainability problem. Go back and deal with your bilateral partners in China. Go back and deal with your private creditors and your project lenders. Make sure that you are able to achieve the project objectives as outlined in the initial communique and understanding we had. And when you have done all of that, then there can be a trigger to begin to make a disbursement. And that would not really mean anything. It only gives government a certain agreement to do PR with. But in actual sense, it's equivalent to not having an agreement until another board meeting.
Now, how are we doing on the external debt restructuring? Because we have succeeded generally on the domestic one, albeit with lots of stress. What are the external people saying? Are they also giving us grief like the domestic people give the government?
As a matter of fact, the level of cut now expected on the external front is so heavy. And yet that is not consistent with the view of the external debt holders. The Eurobond holders and other private creditors think that the same conditions and courtesies that were extended to Ghanaian bondholders should be extended to them. So it's going to be another difficult conversation because you cannot make concessions to your own people who are the direct beneficiaries of a good economy if it does happen, and now come to us sitting somewhere to take a much bigger cut. So it is going to be a difficult conversation because we've already made concessions to the domestic bondholders and now require to transfer some of the adjustment that we couldn't achieve with the domestic bond onto the foreign bond. And that is going to be an extremely difficult situation. We are between a hard place and a wall. But in the end, we must find a ground to move on. Otherwise, the foreign exchange market will come back to volatility. And the reason is quite simple. Currently, we are sustaining the situation based on the non-payment of debt and debt service to the external bondholders. The external offshore obligations that we are not paying is the foreign currency that we are conserving, that we are basically sprinkling around. Once we complete that sprinkling and we have nothing left, and the initial disbursement of about 1 billion does not come from the IMF, we'll begin to have very excessive volatility in the market.
But at least there's hope that by April we would have clinched some deal of a sort from the IMF.
It doesn't look like it. I have just told you that you have not even started serious conversations.
So April doesn't work. Which month may work then?
Let me tell you, ask the Zambians how long it has taken them to get a deal from the Chinese. It's over 2 years now. So the Chinese just don't grant concessions like that. And when you are dealing with China, they should ask the Sri Lanka, why is it that up to date they are still in trouble? China is a very difficult negotiator. And I can bet you we will probably have an agreement in principle like it was done to Pakistan. But Pakistan has been holding an agreement in principle from the IMF for the past 7-8 months, and nothing is happening. So we need to be very focused and aggressive and deliberate about achieving a resolution to the prior actions. Okay. In the absence of that, we can only be wishful thinking.
We'll also be praying alongside. Please pray for us. Thank you so much.
We do pray for you, and we do believe that is the reason why the government must involve as many of its brains in this country as possible to find a solution. At the moment, they are behaving as if the whole Ghana and the brains in Ghana are found only in MPP. We need to be deliberate about engaging Ghanaians and getting a solution to this problem.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. That's the
It's my pleasure.
Honorable Isaac Adongo. He's Deputy Ranking on the Finance Committee of Parliament and MP for Bolga Central. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Michael Ogbodu is in studio from the business desk. We'll be bringing us the latest from the world of business. And then we have Point Blank. Please stay with us.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Time now for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News, powered by citibusinessnews.com. My name is Michael Obodu. Let's settle for the details now. Vice President Dr. Amadu Bawumia has challenged state-owned enterprises to review their mandates to enable them contribute their quota towards national development programs. According to him, a well-focused and managed state enterprise is key to sustaining national development. Therefore, the need for management and boards of such entities to live up to expectations. Per a recent SIGA report on the 2020 performance of state-owned enterprises, most SOEs had failed to make profit or break even, and had instead gone on to accumulate crippling debts running into billions of cedis. Dr. Bawumia made the call at the recent commissioning of the new head office of the Bulk Oil Storage and Transportation Company Limited in Accra.
For the first time in 11 years, BOST made a profit of around 164 million Ghana cedis. This should be the blueprint for state-owned enterprise to enable them to contribute to the execution of government policy. Imagine if 100 state-owned enterprises had made a profit of 164 million Ghana cedis. That would be some 16 billion Ghana cedis for the nation. And it only goes to show that with good leadership and a vision, it is possible for state enterprises to be profitable. It only takes a few good men and women for that to turn around and made to happen. They have clearly demonstrated that with the requisite leadership and commitment, public enterprises can be a significant source of revenue for government. As a shareholder, government expects state-owned enterprises to make a profit and pay dividends to government to support our program. In line with this, the Ministry for Public Enterprise, together with the State Interest in Governance Authority, SIGA, will ensure that all SOEs fulfill their mandates and support government to improve their lives, the lives of our citizens. With dedication, commitment, and the right focus, we will deliver the mandate that Ghanaians have entrusted into our care.
You heard the Vice President, Dr. Amadu Bawumia. The Consumer Protection Agency says the reintroduction of road tolls is a step in the right direction. The government revised the schedules of the Fees and Charges Miscellaneous Provision Act 2022, Act 1080. The amendments are in line with the government's intention to restart collecting road tolls on some roads, pending the completion of the steps to identify the roads and highways to be affected by the reintroduction of the tolls. Speaking to Citi Business News, CEO of the agency, Kofi Kapito, stressed that scrapping road tolls was a bad move.
From where I sit, it was a political decision. And to me, sometimes politicians make decisions that sometimes come back to bite them. It was for the mere reason that they were bringing the e-levy, and they felt that it is better. Somebody did the numbers somewhere and realized that they can make more money from e-levy than tolls. So they decided to abandon the toll and go in for e-levy. Hindsight, they realized that it is better to bring the toll back in addition to the e-levy, because now the e-levy is down from 1.75 to 1%, which is good. It's good in a sense that when the people of the nation cries that everything that you do for us. So when we tell you that, let's look at it and see how feasible it can work for you, the government, and the people also to contribute, I think we should listen. Look, people complain that, we are not getting value for money.
That was CEO of the Consumer Protection Agency, Kofi Kapito. The Poultry Farmers Association of Ghana has welcomed plans by the government to set up a soya bean processing plant in the country to help curb the increasing cost of poultry production. The price of poultry feed has shot up by over 60% in the past 2 years alone, a situation poultry farmers lament has resulted in some farms folding up. In light of this, the government, through the Savannah Zone Agricultural Productivity Improvement Project initiative, will set to establish a soybean processing plant in the northern region to help make poultry feed easily accessible and affordable to farmers. Here is the Vice President of the Greater Accra Poultry Farmers Association of Ghana, Kwame Ntimdodo, speaking to City Business News on the matter.
If they will start and if they will sustain it, it's good news because the soybean meal forms the second most used raw material in the production of poultry feed, apart from maize. And it is the most expensive. We suffer. Now we are buying the 50 kg in the north of 520 Ghana cedis. Some are even quoting 540 cedis for the 50 kg that we used to buy at 90 cedis, just about 100 cedis 2 years ago. And that is mostly the imported type. The locally made ones, we get some at 400 cedis. They're very difficult to get. The local producers are not able to get the raw material, the soybean itself. The foreigners come in to buy the raw materials away. The local soybean meal producers are not able to get the raw material, and the price shoots up. And that is what we want to look at. It's the difference in having a warehouse and the difference in having what you want to have in a warehouse. You can build a plant to process the soybean meal, but if you don't have processors, don't have access to the raw material, the plant will be almost useless, like white elephant, and that is the problem.
Kwame Ntimdodo is the Vice President of the Greater Accra Poultry Farmers Association of Ghana. The Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications is urging stakeholders within the digital financial space to implement policies geared towards economic transformation. The Chamber explains that although Ghana has the potential to explore the economic gains of the technology industry, the high cost of operations in the industry has become a limitation. Speaking on the sidelines of the 2023 Mobile Technology for Development Conference in Accra, the Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber, Engineer Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, called for more dialogue to find solutions to the challenges of the industry.
Country, we are well positioned to be able to take advantage of mobile technology, for development. And if you look at all the things that have happened in the digital financial space, the fact that Ghana is one of the most financially included economies that you can have, in Africa, that definitely tells you that there's so much happening. This is an industry that since liberalization that has been driven by the private sector with support from government and all of that. But the point is that we still have a large usage gap. Currently, if you look at it, all the districts have 4G connectivity. So we have about 90% 4G connectivity across the land space. But in terms of usage, there's still a lot of work to be done. And part of it is the issues around the cost. That's a conversation that between us, the ministry, the NCA, we need to have in terms of what the cost of spectrum is, in terms of the cost of devices, in the country, the issues of taxation.
That was the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, Engineer Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe. Finally, the Ministry of Communication and Digitalization has reiterated its position of working with the private sector to narrow the digital divide and empower citizens to embrace ICT in their operations. The ministry also notes that it is working assiduously to ensure that mobile connectivity is accessible in remote areas to help in the free flow of business transactions for citizens. These comments were made by the Deputy Minister of Communications and Digitalization, Amadu Boateng, at the 2023 Mobile Technology for Development Conference in Accra.
The strategy is intended not only to position Ghana as the digital gateway to the continent of Africa, but also to take advantage of the creation of the African Continental Free Trade Area, as we seek to ensure connectivity throughout our country as well as pursue the African agenda, we are extending our digital infrastructure to our eastern, western, and northern frontiers to enable seamless connection to our neighbors. In order to effectively drive digital financial inclusion, we first of all need to drive digital inclusion and connectivity. Ministry of Communications and Digitalization and its agencies, working with the private sector, have introduced many initiatives to narrow the digital divide and empower citizens to embrace the use of ICT. We are implementing the Rural Telephony and Digital Inclusion Project to connect over 3 million people to now have equal access to the innovations and digital initiatives introduced by both government and the private sector.
That was the Deputy Minister of Communication and Digitalization, Amapuma Boateng. And that's all for City Business News on Eyewitness News. It was powered by your most comprehensive business website, citybusinessnews.com. My name is Michael Obodu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe. Up next is Point Blank.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/City97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/City973, and Instagram at instagram.com/City973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You know, Papa, see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa! Papa!
Bobo, so how's your engine now?
It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Quartz and you can feel better energy. Can't touch this. Tell you guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that? Yes, so somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz, and he switched. Sancho Panzapa. Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz? No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency. Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Sorry. Chairman. Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
If home is where the heart is, then let's go home, shall we? Let's go where the entertainment is, where the passion is, where the laughter is, and sometimes even the tears too. Let's go where we feel safe enough to share our opinions.
And send tweets.
Where we do that embarrassing little dance to our favorite song. Let's go home where the love, the care, and the joy live.
There's no place like home. Connect your home to super fast internet with affordable data bundles from MTN Home. Visit broadband.mtn.com.gh or your My MTN app to sign up today. MTN.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/City97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/City973, and Instagram at instagram.com/City973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News. Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
As that. It has to do with the state of Ghana, the state of the economy, the IMF deal, and so on. This was a two-head debate, or two-way debate, between the minority leader Kaisel Atuforsen and majority leader Osechi Mensah Bonso. To make an interest listen, please do Stay with us and listen to that as well.
For the entire 6 years, they have spent 53.3 billion Ghana cedis for the construction, for the purposes of capital expenditure. This represents only 6.5% of the total resource envelope of 820.5 billion Ghana cedis. The speaker, there's a saying that to whom much is given, much is expected. To whom much is given, much is expected. I'm surprised that the president, after receiving a big amount of 820 billion, can only come to Parliament and show this pamphlet. The speaker, to show only this pamphlet, 820 billion Ghana cedis is all what you need to transform a country. 130 billion is all what you need to transform a country. Yet he has rendered our country poorer and poorer. So if you receive X amount of money, you should be able to show to the people of Ghana how much you have contributed. This is the only government in our history that has seen so much resources. The Speaker, the President, again, in the State of the Nation address, if I may refer you to page 10, the Speaker, I read, he said that a critical component of the measures we are implementing to address the current economic crisis is the debt operation involving debt, both domestic debt and external debt. The debt operation is aimed at returning the country to debt sustainability path by 2028 by reducing the debt to GDP ratio on a general classification basis and in present value terms from 103% in 2022 to 55% in 2028. Mr. Speaker, when we handed the management of this country to His Excellency the President, Ghana's debt to GDP was sustainable. Ghana's debt was 55.6% of our GDP. What we are witnessing today is that our debt is now 103% of GDP. The Speaker, clearly, this government is telling us that it will take us 2028 before we bring the country back to debt sustainability. The Speaker, you took over a country at debt at 55%. Now you are saying that it will take you 12 years after taking this country before you bring it back to debt sustainability. All what this government is trying to say is that they have sent Ghana back 12 years. From 2017 to 2023, 12 years. So what he has said, and he's admitted that he has set Ghana back for 12 good years. The Speaker, yet he's saying that he did not borrow recklessly. The Speaker, I'll prove to you that His Excellency the President and his government, particularly the Finance Minister, has been super reckless in the borrowings. The Speaker, reckless is understatement. The word should be super reckless and overly incompetent in the management of our debt. Because the Speaker, this government only knows one debt, one program, one loan. One loan, one program. That's all what they know. And it looks clearly that all what they know how to do best is to look for debt and to use it only for consumption expenditure. The Speaker, in the year 2017, they borrowed 20 billion. Again, in the year 2018, they borrowed 33 billion. In the year 2019, 45.1. 2020, 73.4. 2021, 60.2 billion. 2022, 223.9 billion Ghana cedis. The Speaker, all put together, in 6 years, they have borrowed 455.7 billion Ghana cedis. This represents $68.4 billion. So you use 6 years to borrow almost $70 billion, yet you are struggling to show us what you use the money for. Majority Leader, where is the money? We need to ask this question, where exactly is the money? The Speaker, if you borrow so much money, $70 billion, the Speaker, and I'm being very charitable, because this amount excludes Sino-Hydro debt. This amount excludes ESLA bond. If you add the ESLA bond of $8 billion and add the Sino-Hydro of approximately $200 million, and convert it into the current exchange rate, Mr. Speaker, this amount, you can't pronounce it. Mr. Speaker, this is a government that is expert in borrowing. They can borrow and borrow and borrow, and yet they will not be able to show you what they use the money for. $70 billion in just 6 years. Mr. Speaker, we need to ask the question. Now, where exactly is the money? Mr. Speaker, clearly, all what this government knows how to do is to use the money for the purposes of consumption. Mr. Speaker, this is a country that was built on probity and accountability. The time has come for us to call our minister responsible for finance and the president, his cousin, to account to the people of Ghana how they use this borrowed money. Mr. Speaker, this pamphlet, and I can prove to you something interesting. I will take you to the same pamphlet that the president presented to us. The pamphlet the president presented on page 62 of 231. And Mr. Speaker, please, I know my reading very well, central reading. I know my reading very well. I can confirm to you that the entire roads that the president is saying that they have constructed during his tenure as president, none of it was financed through debt. None of it was financed through debt. So the entire $70 billion that they have borrowed, Central Region did not benefit one city for the purposes of road construction. One city. Mr. Speaker, and I have this document here. One city for the purposes of road construction. And I can take you through. This is a document presented by the president himself. There is no single road here that was financed through debt. So the $70 billion that he has borrowed, none was used for the purposes of constructing roads. Yet, His Excellency the President sat here, he was standing here, and he communicated to the people of Ghana that majority of these loans were used for the purposes of road construction. Mr. Speaker, this calls for a lot more scrutiny. Mr. Speaker, in my entire region, the new road they have constructed is 22 kilometers. 22 kilometers. The asphaltic overlay in the entire central region is 52.08 kilometers. And you are saying that you've done so well, so we should clap for you. Mr. Speaker, he does not deserve that clap. His Excellency the President, the MPP, does not deserve that clap. They have been wasteful in the resource allocation and how they have used Ghana's resources. It is a shame that a country's resource can be used in such an abysmal manner. Mr. Speaker, we call on His Excellency the President to, as a matter of urgency, appear before us and to deliver to us a proper accounting mechanism, how he used the $130 billion that he has received so far since he became the president. Mr. Speaker, when I've heard that the president tried to blame COVID, and also Russia-Ukraine war, as if the bombs that Russia is throwing at Ukraine are landing in Accra. Mr. Speaker, certainly that is not the case. Mr. Speaker, clearly, the truth is that the crisis we are going through is self-inflicted. The crisis we are going through is self-inflicted. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of inflation, the Bank of Ghana, under His Excellency President Akufo-Addo, has been most abused in the history of our country. It's the most abused central bank in the history of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, I remember in the year 2016, the then running mate to President Akufo-Addo, now the Vice President, had called a press conference and he has said that he has worked at the Bank of Ghana before and he knows exactly that the money is in Ghana. The Speaker, not knowing that all what he was trying to say is that he knows that the Bank of Ghana can print money for government for the purposes of government expenditure. The Speaker, the central bank, all what they do is to print money. And the inflation that we are seeing here is caused largely by the printing of currency by the Bank of Ghana. The Speaker, this printing started in 2019. They printed 2019, immediately when IMF left. printed 2020, printed 2021, and they are printing 2022 and 2023. Mr. Speaker, I can confirm to you that from January to date, they have so far printed 4 billion Ghana cedis. January to date, so they are still printing. When will the Bank of Ghana stop printing? Last year, 2022, they printed 50 billion Ghana cedis. 2021, they printed 43 billion Ghana cedis. 2020, they printed 35 billion Ghana cedis. So this is a bank that prints money. No wonder we are seeing inflation at 53%. Now I'm told it's 52%. Now Ghana's inflation, we call it hyperinflation. We have seen hyperinflation the first time since 1983. First time since 1983. So all what President Akufo-Addo has done is to take us back to 1983. Mr. Speaker, we are in trouble. We are in trouble because all what we are seeing is self-inflicted. When His Excellency the Vice President told us then in opposition, that they know that there's money in Ghana, he was telling the people of Ghana that he knows the central bank has a printing machine and they will print money for us. No wonder we are seeing a lot of printing. The Speaker, the policy rate that we are seeing is as a result of the printing of money by the central bank. Printing of money by the central bank. They inherited a policy rate of 25%. Today, the policy rate, the Bank of Ghana monetary policy rate is at 28% and counting. It will get worse. It will get worse because they have to mob the inflation, the excess liquidity in the market. It will get worse. Mr. Speaker, when we saw that this country's economy is heading to the ditch, we wondered and asked the Minister of Finance and the government to act. I remember the famous quotation from the minister, and Mr. Speaker, I repeat. He said, we are not going to IMF. Whatever we do, we are not going back. The consequences are there. We are a proud nation. We have the resources. We have the capacity. So don't let anyone tell you otherwise. We are not people of short sight. We are the shining star of Africa. We can do what we want to do if we can speak that one language and ensure we burden share in the issues ahead. Mr. Speaker, as we speak, we have gone back to IMF. And this same person who said this is still in office. The same person is still in office. Mr. Speaker, I beg to ask, are we a serious country? Are we a serious country? Because the truth is, you can't say this, run the whole country's economy, our livelihood into a ditch, and still be staying in office. The man must go. And His Excellency is failing to act because he's his cousin. Mr. Speaker, the wages of nepotism is what we are seeing today. The wages of nepotism is what we are seeing today. Because, Mr. Speaker, he's failing to act because of his relationship with the man. And the same person has run our livelihood aground completely. He has sent us to a point of no return, yet he's in office. After insisting that he won't go to IMF, today he's in IMF. Mr. Speaker, I want to find out from the President, are the consequences no longer there? You need to answer those questions. Have we now lost our pride as a nation after going to IMF? We also want to ask, have they finished off all our national resources? Has the President and his government lost the capacity to run the affairs of the country after going to IMF? Did you even have the capacity in the first place as a country? Mr. Speaker, clearly our finance minister has showed us that he doesn't have the capacity to run the affairs. And the economic management team have failed abysmally. Abysmally. Ghana is in gargantuan major crisis.
The state of the country is the situation or set of circumstances that pertains in the country now. And the present message is the account of the pertaining condition of the country as he finds it. The President at the very outset admitted that any honest assessment of our country's situation would necessarily involve, and I'm quoting him, the gravity of the economic situation of our country and how we can quickly stabilize the economy and work our way back to the period of rapid economic growth, unquote. Continuing, the president did not mince words when he stated, and again I quote, our currency has been buffeted, our inflation rate has been very high, and for the first time in our lives, debt exchanges have become the language of everyday conversation, unquote. The Speaker, that is brutal frankness. A lot of critics have jumped onto the bandwagon to blame the current administration for where we are today, and it's the reason why the president stated it would necessarily have to include what state it was in yesterday, the state it is in today, and what it will be in tomorrow, based on reasonable grounds of expectations. The Speaker, the president took us down memory lane when he related to his own statement in 2020. To be precise, February 20th, 2020. The evidence of Akufo-Addo's performance is in the standard economic indicators. The Speaker, my colleague, has related to it. GDP growth averaging 7% between 2017 and 2019. Gradually reducing inflation such that inflation hit its lowest level, 7.8% in January 2020. And that is since the rebirth of constitutional democracy. Having a fiscal deficit below 5% of GDP for 3 consecutive years, something that the NDC could never achieve. That was the first ever in 40 years.
The words of the Honorable Osechi Mensah-Bonsu, MP for Swami, Majority Leader in the House of Parliament and Minister for Parliamentary Affairs. Before him, you heard from Kezela Tuforsin, MP Juma Kwenyane, CM, former Deputy Finance Minister, Minority Leader in the House of Parliament. Well, that would be it for Eyewitness News tonight. My name is Umaru Sanda Amadu. Production tonight by Beverly London and Wilson Kobna. I was also in studio with Eno Safo. Technical support from Daniel Squashi. Edwin Kwakofi was handling the new media side of things. If you want more current affairs and news analysis, The Big Issue at 9 a.m. tomorrow with Amadu is a show you should make time for. 97.3 Citi FM and Citi TV. There's also Citi Newsroom on Citi TV at 8 p.m. But up next, the Citi Sports team is here to bring you the most listened to sports program in the world. There's a Sports Panorama. Benjamin Nketia and the crew ready to give you the fire that you need. Have a great weekend.